I'm life and business coach Samantha Sifring, and this is the Online Business Building Mamas podcast, where you learn how to build a wildly successful business from home while raising kids.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Online Business Building Mamas podcast. As you could probably tell, I am not Samantha. My name is Shannon Brome-Ward, and I'm a money mindset coach. I believe that changing your relationship with money is the key to creating more money, which in turn provides you with a lot of options in life. I'm here today because I am one of Samantha's Simply Scaling Mastermind clients. And I had written a post in the Facebook group in the mastermind about a few months ago that Samantha believed was helpful to some of the members of the mastermind. And more importantly, it was helpful to me because I had an opportunity to express something that I had realized about what I was doing in my business. And I really felt extremely vulnerable sharing that in the mastermind. But what I can say is that it was very well received. I felt incredibly supported, which speaks to the women in that group, but it also speaks to Samantha and the container that she's created there. So what I want to do today is I want to read that post to you so that I could provide you with some context about what we're going to be talking about during this episode. So here's the post. I realized and admitted to myself that I have been playing small. Historically, it has never been safe for someone like me to be in the forefront. That was a surefire way of getting yourself killed. That is the messaging that my people receive daily. I have made all of my money quietly. I am your millionaire next door, the one you never suspect and the one you are surprised about. And I realize that if I make $1 million with this business, it will be loud and that will be unsafe. But I am tired of quietly creeping along. That worked for other millions, but it isn't working now. I am going to come forward, not for me, but for all of the people before me who couldn't, and all of those ahead who will. I am going to make the next million in the open. I'm scared. I trust myself. And if Shannon says it, then it is as good as done. So that is the post that prompted Samantha to ask me to record this episode. And as you can tell, that post is about making money, being visible, and doing so as a Black woman. So I want to give you a little bit of my background, which would provide some context for how I arrived at that point and some of the work that I'm still doing today after that realization. Okay. So I was born in Canada. My parents emigrated there from Barbados. And following the true immigrant story, they left their place of origin in search of a better life, in search of the opportunities that the country could provide them. And so my parents were very committed to the idea that if you got a great education, you could get a great job and that you would be comfortable in life. Right. And so they did many of those things for themselves. And then, of course, I followed in their footsteps. So they came to Canada, they furthered their education, they increasingly got better jobs, higher paying jobs, and their entire existence was about creating the opportunities for me to get that education. And also, it was important for them to buy a home, right? So kind of similar to that American dream, it was like the Canadian dream, right? They were doing exactly those things. And anything above and beyond getting that education or providing that shelter was considered frivolity to them. Any additional money was stashed away. And it was stashed away because it was rooted in fear. Because what would have been the point of their great experiment? To leave their country, create a better life, be able to support themselves and to support family members back home, if they didn't do what they were supposed to and create this nest egg in case something were to happen, then they would be thrown back into poverty. So everything was grounded with that fear-based level of thinking where I always have to ensure that there's something there just in case. Just in case the bottom fell out of the bucket. So I knew that even though I followed the protocol that they had set aside for me, and they said, go to school, get a great education, and I did those things, I didn't realize how much of that fear I carried within myself. So I started my journey, with my job, high-paying job, and I've had a lot of financial missteps along the way. Some of it due to my financial illiteracy, some of it due to my learned experiences that I watched my parents do, some of that due to what I was doing. Nobody talked about money. So this is the kind of stuff that I had to figure out on my own. But I did figure it out. And I realized that, I can learn how to make my money grow. I can figure out that I can make my money work for me and that I don't have to work as hard for it. There's just some things that I needed to do and needed to uncover. And I was able to do this. And I was able to do this as a W-2 employee. I could do it quietly. I could do it without anyone knowing at work. I was able to grow my money secretly. It wasn't on display. I didn't flaunt it. It was just very quietly done in the background, in the shadows. And that's fine because we don't talk about money in society. So that was okay. So I was quiet and I remained quiet because it's safe. It was safe. And I was clear that no harm could be done to me because I was doing this without anybody knowing. So I was protected. And I think I inherently knew that not being in the forefront is always the safest place for me to be. I knew that with any other Black person, any other Black woman, once they became too big, too out there, too showy, too much on display, too anything, that their safety was jeopardized. This has been the case historically. This is the case today. And I know that there's so many horrific examples of what can happen to you if you show up. If you show up and tell your story of financial success or success in any capacity, you are putting yourself at risk. And so I realized when I wrote that post that I was, communicating my message. I knew that it was extremely possible for so many people to achieve what I had achieved, but I wasn't screaming it from the mountaintops or the rooftops. I was quietly sharing it with some, those that seemed curious, those that were willing to inquire. But I was doing that to protect myself because I was scared. I had the fear-based trauma from my parents, and I had the fear-based trauma from my people. And so I realized upon communicating in that post that in order to share my knowledge of wealth building, in order to demystify money, something that we don't talk about at all in society, I needed to put my success on display. I needed to say that I was a millionaire. I needed to say that I was a multimillionaire. I needed to say that it was possible to create this, that I wasn't born into this status, but I created it and I can teach you the tools to do it too. And it's okay. It's okay to say that you want to learn this. And it's okay for me to come out and say, I've done this and I can show you how to do it too. By not saying much, by not exclaiming what I'd done, I wasn't enabling people to see what was possible for them. I wasn't allowing them to learn the tools that I learned, that I developed, that I created, that I could share, which could transform so many lives. So many lives. The lives of women, of Black women, women who look like me, who can realize that, hey, I could have a different life. I can have options to do whatever it is that I want to do. I could help others. I could help myself. I can leave a legacy. Many of you listening to this are going to be the first woman in your family that's going to be a millionaire. Many of you are showing so many women what is possible. Your daughters, your nieces, your sisters, your mothers, your aunts, your cousins. You're showing so many women in your family and around you what's possible. I underestimated the amount of trauma that I was carrying in my body, in my mind. And it wasn't until I started my business did I realize that, wow, the way that I've been living in the shadows isn't going to work in this arena if I want to impact more women. And so I've decided that I am going to continue to show up. I'm going to continue to show up more than I've ever before. And I'm showing up because I think of all of the people before me who didn't and suffered as a result. And I'm showing up because I'm thinking of all the people who did and who were punished. And I'm showing up for all of the little Black girls, all of the Black women, and all of the women, period, who do not realize that this is possible for them. And if seeing me, someone who looks like them, can make this possible for herself and for her family, then I need to show up for them. So yes, like I said in the post, like I said a few months ago, I'm still scared. Every day I am scared to further communicate what I have done. But I know the impact and the change that this can make for every one of my clients' lives. It is completely worth it for me to get an understanding of why I do what I do and to work with that fear. I want all of you to think about visibility Think about your own personal stories. Think about if there's anything there that is holding you back from sharing your talent, your gifts. This is an opportunity for you to examine those feelings and to really see if there's something that can be done for you so that you could help others. It is not safe a lot of the time in this country to be a Black woman. I know when I'm communicating, I am putting myself at risk. But I also know what isn't safe. Not having the options that money creates also allows for unsafe situations, health conditions, relationships, and a plethora of things that can be eased with money. So this is why I continue to communicate what I've communicated. And it was a bit of amazement to see how I arrived at this place. But I'm really glad that I did, and I'm still working through it. But I know that I have something to offer. And I know that there's a little girl out there who would never think that this was possible for them. And it's because they're seeing me, hearing me, talking to me, that they too will create what works best for them. Thank you very much for listening today. And again, this is the Online Business Building Mamas podcast.
If you like this podcast, I want to invite you to coach with me over in my program, Mama to CEO. There's you, and there's the consistent income you want to make in your business, and I help you remove everything standing in between. It's lifetime access for mastering your marketing, sales, time, and everything else you need to have the business and life you really want. Whether it's making your first 1,000 or 100,000, I can help you do it. To join, go to mamatoceo.com, mamatoceo.com.